I'm starting. Hey, how's it going? My name is Faisal, and I'm the producer of Phoenix Court Studios. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'm going to be showing you guys my updated version of the current game that I'm playing. I did work on this for a couple of weeks, 4 weeks from the last update. In this update, I'm just going to go over a couple of things, the features first, and then I'm going to show you the gameplay of the current games that whatever we have so far. And finally, I will show you the code, and after that, that's the conclusion, and that's when we're done. So anyway, let's hop onto the game real quick, and let's see how it's gonna go. So over here, I have my Unreal Engine opened up, all ready to go, and this is the current game before it starts. What I want to talk about right now is the features that I did implement into this in this update. So from I don't know if you guys want to check out the previous ones, the previous videos that I did put up there. You can go check it out real quick. So in this video, uh, what I worked on is basically the post processor. In the beginning, you'll notice the screen starts black and white, which is to indicate the character losing vision. It's part of the story where the character actually loses everything, and he starts with nothing, and he gains something, gains more power over time to face the main villain, the main whatever the main goal is, and the storyline would progress based on that as well. So you start off with nothing, as well as I included dialogues. So there will be dialogues and interactions that are in the current update, as well as vision region. So over time, we start black and white, but you regain that as you defeat the monsters or the mobs, the AIs. And I also worked on the AI vision system, where previously I would just use a simple AI vision, where this one it's basically math, and it's calculated based on the code that I wrote. And what it does is, if there's a wall there, it's not going to see through the wall, and that's how it is so far. I also put a new force field. It's to indicate that you can't pass this area until you beat it. And the force field is has its own properties. It's going to break after you finish a certain requirement. As well as I worked on flight animations in the system, where the flight animation is not just a first person animation, but it's a third person animation, and it looks better. You are actually flying, and it feels good. So with the controls as well, that's what I mean by when I say feels good. The controls are smoother. It uses WASD, and you can just move towards any direction. You don't have to press the C and V key to move up and down like previous system, the previous update. And I also worked on the render camera in this one. The render camera is basically for the final stage, where you fight the boss, and in that situation, there's like a huge TV screen. It's part of the story. You're being watched by a group of people in this new world, right? These are the powerhouses, and these guys are like the main villains, and they're basically not really a villain, but they're basically betting on your life, and that's how the story is. And you're just trying to struggle and survive, and just keep moving on, moving forward. I also put up a new slow motion system, which this is a skill, by the way. It's a skill. It takes about 15 seconds to update, and it would come up when when it's available, and you can just press it, and you can just move on with it. So let's move on to the gameplay. Real quick. Let me just. All right, we're set. So once I press play, we're introduced to the screen, and as you can see, it's black and white. Dialogue comes up. You suddenly come into consciousness. What is this place? I can't see any color, just black and white. Hope this isn't where I think it is. Like, you do have a sense of where you are, because this is not just a random world, but this is a world. This is in a universe where there are many worlds, and you do. It's in the future, right? And there is like a whole system where people know other people from other planets, and there are systems where there are powerful beings, and you do know of this, and so moving on, so you're suspecting in the beginning that something is up, and now we're into the game. First thing, you see the spiders coming up, as well as if you notice, there's no flight ability, so I can't fly right off the bat. I have to actually get something. You can see Q, the Q key is available, so I can press Q for slow motion. So let's start fighting. So as I kill the boss, or the AI mobs, colors come back. As you can see, I just killed 3 of them, and colors just came back on. So moving on, I'm just gonna destroy this mob real quick here, just to show you the point. is gonna come back up right here. So the colors came back to full color or half color. And if I press Q right now, I can actually slow down everything. As you can see, slow motion effects have come up. The meteors are falling slowly. It happens for 3 seconds and then it comes back to normal speed. And it goes on cooldown, and I can't go on slow motion until 15 seconds later on. The slow motion freezes everything around the world except for you. So you're at your normal speed where everything is slowed down. This will allow you to kite better and perform other skills, I guess. So let's see. I'm just gonna destroy the boss real quick here. If I slow mo here, he gets slow mo, and then I get to land some shots easily. I can kite backwards. I do not have flight ability. Also, you can see a dialogue that will trigger right here. Once I hit towards the force field, it'll tell you that, well, it seems like there's something towards the force field. If I were to go into the force field again, yeah, there you go. Perhaps it seems like there's perhaps a force field. Well, then gotta kill the octopus. Well, it's just a joke that I have going on over here, where language doesn't have to be the same. So I could be calling it a spider in this world, but it could be an octopus in another. As you can see, the glass shattered right here. I didn't get a good angle on it, but the glass did shatter. The force field shattered. It's a breakable object, and everything is still the same. The water effects are still the same. If I go towards here, one thing I did forget to show you before is that there's a sign that says, well, once you stop here, it says you wake at your judgment, I'll see you at the top. And this is sort of like the plot of the story or your goal. You're supposed to go to the top, and that's the objective of the player. And it's still the same thing, the same water effects that's going on here, as well as everything else. So you'd have to finish the whole, I guess, this whole stage over here before you can get the flight ability. And this is like the obstacle course that you sort of go through. It's pretty simple in the beginning. It's not that complicated. I do want to put like some puzzle element to it, but that's going to be a little bit later down the line. For now, this is just what it is. This is just an obstacle game where you just wait for things and just move on forward. If you do fall, that's probably the worst thing you could do, because it's going to be very hard to come back up. And if you fall from a very high position, then you basically lose the game, because there's a certain amount of place you could go underneath the water until the game ends. So the moment you hit that area, the game would end. Let me just go over this quickly, because I don't want to bore everybody. So let's just get on with this over here. So I think I mentioned this previously, but there's that flight ability over there down right next to me, where I'm looking at right now. And over here, there's it looks like I'm hitting something, and there's nothing there. Again, it's just invisible walls. And I did update this a bit, so now the colors are a little bit different. But it's the same idea. So I would basically go all the way here, and I would get the flight ability right here. There's another object there. If I just jump up here, I would come up. Again, once I jump on this, the other one goes invisible, and only on the path that I'm on is visible. And moving on, I'm about to get the green object real quick, the flight ability. And here I am. And once I have it, look, my flight ability is full, and I can fly now. I can also slow-mo and I fly. Let me just show you how the flight looks like. If I fly, this is what it looks like. And right now, it becomes a third-person view, and I can move in any direction pressing WASD. And I have full controls. I can look downwards, upwards, and it's pretty neat. So yeah, I just use my entire flight ability to move from here to here. And it recharges over time. So I'm just gonna escape the game real quick, because I actually want to show you the boss fights as well as the render feature that I do have coming up. But before that, I do want to adjust a little bit of the code, so it could be easier for us to move on. I'm not gonna explain anything right now. I'm just gonna adjust it real quick. Yeah, what I'm just doing is I'm just setting it up so it's more convenient for me to show you guys without having to. It should be in here. The Boolean. See, I have one thing to know. It's for the coders here. You want to have everything organized. So whoever's watching this, like from the group and whatnot, you guys know that having all your booleans organized is always a good thing, because booleans you always keep track of it, even in this blueprint or the next. So, I'm just gonna come back real quick and finish that up. As cam not swapped. Stardust obtained true. All right, now we're set. So finally, I'm just going to hop up here and just move into the final area. Like I don't want to go through the whole obstacle, but it's currently it's the same as the previous one. So I don't have to show the meteors are falling down. You have to dodge them, as well as the two pillars. They're gonna crash down. So you have to make sure you make it in time. So it's still the same as the previous video, but over here you can see like there's a huge TV screen up here, and what it's doing, it's capturing the view from the back of the AI boss right here. And I have a idea where I would kill the AI, but I'm gonna probably put this on the last update, the final one, which is like the first part of the game, and this is gonna be the final update that I'm going to do a presentation on. And it's going to be like where I kill the boss, and he's gonna get a second life, and he would come back, and he's gonna be much bigger, and the whole sphere over here is gonna collapse. At least that's what the idea of it, and it's gonna be a huge, massive Titan versus human, boss battle. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But for now, this is what I have. So let me just play from here. Oh, it's gonna start from all the way in the beginning. So I have to really adjust that real quick. So yeah, just hop onto that real quick, and I'll be here. Let me put the play mode to the current camera location. So I'm gonna spawn right here. The moment I do spawn here, though, it's again I have to actually kill all the spiders over there to make the vision regenerate back to the original vision, which is like full colorful and everything. So, but I basically did a system where just for the testing purposes, so I would just come back to the full vision with a few keys. So over here we come up here, and you can see it does capture the boss's side of the view. So the boss from the I guess from the back. The moment I hit the boss, he does notice me. It's still the same as the previous updates. The animation is still there. He's still running. What I do want to do in the future, though, right now this is what I have, where I would go to third-person view and I would fight the boss, but it's not perfect because the camera is not adjusted properly. But I will be working on this, and this is going to make this part of the boss fight look much better. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to changing all the, I guess, camera angles up, as well as putting perfect balances to the system, as well as putting down more skills, because right now I only have currently one skill, which is slow down time. And I mean that's cool and all, but I do want it to have like other abilities which will allow you to move forward, as well as weapon system. I do want to include a few weapons into the game, or a few more features where different weapons would do different things, and it's like a build that you would build up, and depending on the boss you're fighting. So that's the gameplay for now. So let me just go over the code, so anybody that's not interested in the code can hop off right now. But let's move on to the code real quick. The code, it's from the first person character blueprint. I did this is how I'm changing the third person camera, like what I did there with the boss. So real quick, I just take the first person camera, and all I do is I take the relative location of the X value. All I'm doing is that I'm just moving the camera backwards. So either I'm moving it back 240 minus, or I'm adding 240 plus. So when I'm moving it backwards, I'm getting a third person view, and I want to move the camera forwards to the original location, I get the first person view. That's all this is doing, and it's just moving the camera. The moment I press T, it'll do this. It'll do the void function change cam, and the change cam would just do a flip flop, so I can just go in and go out whenever I want. As well as over here, the slow motion function. So this is what's happening with when I press Q key. It's a do once node, and all it's doing, it's basically I have this variable that keeps track of how much, I guess, how much cooldown is left. So it's 15 seconds. In the beginning, it's 0. It's going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until it's 15. And when it's 15, it's full, basically. So then I can use the skill again. So 15 seconds from 0 to 15, it'll keep repeating. Every time I use the skill, it goes back to 0. And, and it regenerates over time. And after 15 seconds, I can use it again. So we have that here. All I'm doing here is I'm taking the global time dilation, which is like 0.2 seconds, and this is a little bit of a math thing here. So this should be 20. So let me explain that real quick. So global affects everything, right, including your player, but you want your player to be faster. So if everything is slowed down to 0.2, that means it's slowed down 80%, right? So that means that your player has to be 80% faster in order to offset, right? So say if it's a zero point 0.1 time dilation, then everything is running at 10% speed. So your character needs to be 10 times faster to be at its original speed of 1. So that's the idea. So it's just the offset. Right now it's at 5 because I think like putting it to the original speed is like unrealistic. Like there should be a little bit of a slow, and your character should move a little bit slower as well, but not to a point that it's completely you know that you're also slowed down. It looks like you're not fast, but you're at your normal speed. That's all it is. It's just the offset. And all this is doing, there's a delay here, and then it just sets back to the normal original custom dilation. So and the global dilation. The global dilation becomes 1 again, so it's completely normal speed again. If this was 2, then it'll be 2 times faster. 1 would be the original speed or the normal speed, and the custom dilation is also set back to 1. And there's this thing here, it's a delay, and all this is doing, it's delaying 1 second every single frame, and it's incrementing my cooldown rate. So that's how you can notice that my my QCDR is filling up. If you look at the bar real quick, like if I play the game here, and if I get out of here, you see the Q. If I press Q here, it goes away, and it's the Q is right underneath the HP bar. By the way, if you look at the HP bar and right under there's a Q, and you can see it slowly filling up, and that's what's happening. Every single second, you increase the QCDR by one time, well, by +1, and it's filling up like that. So that's done. Let's look at some other things here. Like, let's see what else. So more importantly, the flight system is updated as well. This is with the animations and whatnot, where this is a situation where if I'm flying, not over there, not that one. So there, I did move that flight ability over here. So previously what happened was I had the flight ability into the key of C and V. So if I were to press C, I would go upwards, and if I were to press V, I would go downwards. But in this iteration, what I did was I made it so if I press WASD, in the direction of the camera that I'm facing, I'm gonna move towards that direction. What this does is that if I'm looking upwards and I press W and I move upwards, so it emulates a flying scenario that I'm actually flying. Because like if I were to look upwards towards the camera, then I can just move upwards, and I'm actually flying. So that's the idea behind it. But there's still some work to be done over here. Right now, there are a few things that I want to do, which I'm gonna put into the next update, and I'll talk about more of what I want to do later on. Time is running out, but I'm going to cover up a few more things before I'm done. So the blueprints of let me open up the level blueprint here. So the dialogue system, it's pretty simple as well. Certain events would trigger, and then there would be this dialogue here. So all this dialogue is doing is going to a widget. I think I talked about a widget beforehand. A widget is basically just a UI, a user interface, and it's just being displayed on top of the screen, right? So the UI is a text box, or it could be a help bar, whatever it is. So all I'm doing is I am sending this message to the widget, and I'm sending it to the dialog box. And I also have the system where it waits, so the dialog box stays for a certain amount of time. So for this one, it's gonna stay about 3 seconds. So there's a delay of 3 seconds. So it's gonna stay up for 3 seconds, and there's another change dialog, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it over here. For this is a processor that I've been working on. This is code that, again, I don't look at videos anymore. All I do is I come up with a concept and I try to replicate that concept, and you can do that based on experiences. And that's what I love about when you learn more, you basically can use previous skills and knowledges to apply it into new things. And that's basically what I did here, where I took the post processor settings and I just made it I take the original. So this is what I'm doing is I'm taking an original world light color, right? The original color, and I'm memorizing that, and I'm taking and I'm taking this new color, which is the black and white color, and all I do here is I use this thing called change. Where is that function? It's a get player vision color. It's a function that I created, which is called over here into this event, where as long as I kill the spider. Okay, this is a pretty massive function. I mean, massive, not a function, But this is there's a lot of things that are happening here. I don't want to break this down because it's gonna take a long time to talk about this, and I want to make this as short and concise as possible. So coming back to that is that every time in basic theory, every time I'm destroying a spider, right, the AI, what happens is I gain a little bit of my vision backwards. I mean, I gain a little bit of my vision back, and all it's doing is it's uh it's transferring that value back to my vision control. So when I come to vision color, this is all it's doing. So all I'm doing is I am doing this thing called lerping. I don't know if you guys know what that is. That it's basically like a transition between one thing to another, right? From A to B. And there's like a rate of transition, and that's basically the alpha. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the original color and I'm taking the current color, which is the black and white screen, and I'm sort of moving from the black and white to the original color over a certain amount of time. That's all I'm doing. So every single time I kill a spider, or I get like a 0.1% vision back, or 0.1% original color back. That's all this function is doing. There's a lot of code in it. It could be intimidating, but once you get hang of it, it's basically the same thing. I'm just doing the same thing here, and I'm doing the same thing here. It just whatever I want to affect and whatnot. So you guys can all do the same here. Just look at the code real quick and you know just try to replicate that. All right. So moving out of that, the dialog box is what else? Oh yeah, for the render camera, it's basically a all I'm doing is I'm taking the current 2D picture of the screen and I'm updating that. So that's what a render camera is. Let me see. It should be in the materials. So it's under the no, not here, not this much. All right, so let me just look at that real quick. So I can just show it to you from here. Actually, I don't need to actually go find it. I can just come here and I can just. So there's a neat trick. If you press Control B, you can actually find an item. So you don't have to look at through your folders. You can just find that item and just Control B, and the Unreal Engine will take care of that. So I'm here. It's under materials text. I sort of God I was looking into this folder. Oh no, I was actually looking at the folder above it. I was just looking at textures. Anyway, so if I come open up the MView screen, right, the material, this is the material that's it's taking a texture, and this texture is basically the render target, right? And what a render target is, it's just a screenshot, right? And the screenshot is updating like any video is. Like if you have a video and you slow it down, it's basically frames per second, just being updated. That's all we're doing here. So we have this texture. It's called the render target texture, and it's taking the current image of like a 2D image, and it's just updating that. That's all that's doing. So anyway, that's about the main things that's happening in this iteration. That happened in this iteration, but like there's still more. I don't know why it's frozen right now. Let me just oh, it's updating. That's why. All right, it's fine now. Okay. So yeah, that's basically it for now. I am looking forward to working with newer skills and some more animations I want to apply to the boss, as well as in the future I would put up more dialogues, because there should be a whole scene where you'd enter the sphere and then a new event would occur and you'd understand more about the game through dialogue. But I'm also working on the dialogues as well, because there has to be some situation, certain things that I haven't thought of yet, so I have to figure it all out before I put it up. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you tune in for my last one. Have a nice one.